Welcome to the Grow Your Law Firm podcast, brought to you by Pilma. This podcast helps lead lawyers to more growth, profit, and freedom. Here is your legal marketing expert and host, Ken Hardison.
Well, hello, everyone. This is Ken Hardison, and welcome to another episode of Grow Your Law Firm. And today we have the pleasure of having Julia Moreland, who is the owner of Marketing Partners Unlimited. She has over 37 years of marketing, sales, and business consulting experience, and her understanding of PI and mass tort firms provide the experience to convert your intake and referrals to cases. So Julia, welcome today.
Thank you.
Glad to have you aboard. And
Thank you.
Tell us a little bit about your background, because I just hit on, I just hit the tip of the iceberg. I want our viewers and our listeners to really know your vast experience.
Yeah, so essentially I started my career with IBM, so I'm very technology based. And over the years, I have been a VP and a consultant in many small to mid-size firms across industry, showing them how to structure their business for growth. In doing that, I also came across the most important piece of it, which is your sales and marketing, also reducing your costs to get there. So at the point in 2011, I started Marketing Partners, which is essentially an outsourced marketing business. And after starting that and being in that for several years, I was most recently with Smart Advocate for VP of Sales and Marketing in the past several years.
Yeah. So and I think that's Smart Advocate. That's a big company, case management company for those listeners I don't know, and it's you had a lot of you had a lot of clients. I know you did, because I used to remember when you came to the Pilma Summit,
Right.
And everybody was talking about Smart Advocate,
Mm-hmm.
all the bells and whistles.
Yeah.
So one thing I wanted to pick your brain about is because you have been around, you've been on both sides of this. Where do you see lawyers make mistakes when they choose vendors?
Yeah. Okay. So I think pretty much what a lot of law firms and lawyers do is, they talk amongst themselves and, say, oh, this is the greatest thing since sliced bread. Well, that's wonderful because there's a myriad of vendors, as you know. Okay. That's wonderful that they do that. But to that extent, is that what their law firm needs? The first thing a lawyer needs to know is, what is the pain point in my law firm? What do I need to outsource to a vendor? What do I need to keep in-house? What's going to maximize my growth? What's going to be more cost efficient? And what's going to be the best for the productivity of my staff? So I think in that, they make mistakes in that area. Your firm, Pilma, by the way, is one of the best avenues for an attorney to go to, or law firms to go through growth, to understand what vendors can help them and how they can help them with growth. So I think those are the mistakes that are made. And I think that being said, there's a lot of ways of going back correcting that. Like I said, the first one would be, know what the pain points are, know what your law firm needs, get a better understanding, know what you want to outsource, then research, go to the trade shows, do that, and set up appointments with these vendors. The thing that's happening today that's absolutely fabulous, and it may be because of COVID, who knows, but we're going back to old school. You're not only getting e-blasts and a myriad of postcards in the mail, robocalls, but you're also getting calls from actual people representing vendors. Talk to them when they call, see what they have to offer. There's no obligation to you. If it's something your firm needs, it's worth talking to them. And like I said, also, again, set appointments at the events if you're able to attend those. And the best thing that all attorneys have is they have their friends who are also attorneys and associates who can refer vendors for certain things. So that would be, my suggestions and on how to improve that process.
Good deal.
Mm-hmm.
So tell us exactly what your company, Marketing Partners, tell us about that company. Unlimited.
Okay. So Marketing Partners was originally started to outsource the marketing needs of technology firms, small technology firms that work with large vendors, say like IBM, Hewlett Packard, et cetera. It was designed because a lot of these small firms, they were kind of like mom and pop shops, and they were technological geniuses with solutions, but they didn't have the marketing arm. So my company was actually formed to do everything from the telemarketing for lead generation to actual event show presence, setting up of that, setting meetings, and actually going on the meetings as a sales arm. So that's how we were initially started in 2011. And then as I moved forward, I realized there is such a larger market for this. So we have expanded across industry. So we are now in everything from manufacturing companies to healthcare, obviously legal, and we do a myriad of different types of campaigns for different organizations.
Yeah, and I want to let the listeners know that I've been using you for Filma for about the last, I guess, over a year,
Yes.
something like that, and I've been real pleased
Well,
because
thank
we
you.
just don't have the manpower to pick up the phone and advise people what's going on all the time, you know.
Yeah.
And people just don't open their emails. I mean, you know, we send out a blast on email like to our vendors about, you know, we got this summit coming up, and you know, September 29th of this
Mhm.
year, and then we call them or something, and they say, "Well, I never got it, or I never opened it," you know.
Right.
And I think like we're lucky if we get 22% of our emails get open,
Mhm.
and I think that's pretty much national. I mean, you know, I think that's national average. I mean, so I see a big, you know, and the problem is if you don't have the manpower, or maybe, you know, I don't need it every day, so I don't need a full-time person or people, but I
Mhm.
need it for certain projects, you know. So I
Yes.
like it. I mean, it's worked good for Pilma, I can tell you that.
Yeah. Well,
But tell me, how can you? So I know what you do for me, but what are you doing for lawyers out there?
okay. So currently, I'm doing many different things for lawyers. One of the things about my firm that I didn't mention is that everyone that works with me is a senior level consultant. So when they get on the phone on any law firm or any company that we call on behalf of, even yours, it is seamless to who they're talking to, that they are not an employee of your organization. We always say we're calling on behalf, but they are having peer-to-peer conversations. There's no script reading unless it's directed by the company that they want it script read, if they're looking for market intelligence, things like that. But right now with law firms, the need that I saw and that I'm working with right now on firms is the first one is probably intake. What happens with intake is it comes in, you know, you may have an intake paralegal, you may have a staff, you may have a receptionist, who's ever doing intake. It doesn't really matter the size of your firm. And the attorneys either upfront decide to take the case, or they automatically send out a sign-up kit and take the case after. Whichever way it works in your firm, it doesn't really matter. The problem is that who's following up on all those sign-up kits that were sent out? Who's following
Yeah,
that up? What's the percentage of cases you can actually get if those things are followed up? So that's one of the things that my firm does. Okay. And anyone who has a case management system knows exactly which cases have not been returned. If you don't have a case management system, I'm sure you're using something like an Excel spreadsheet, and you also know. And most of the time in firms, specifically in this environment, they don't have the time for it's so unproductive for their people to be doing that. There's so many other things they need to be doing. So that's one thing my firm does. The other thing, recently I signed on a law firm. It was actually an employment law. And he says, you know, a lot of these cases go over to PI firms. And he says they're really, you know, employment law type, you know, cases. And he says, I'd really like to have some conversations and start working the referrals, you know, so that they would give me referrals. And I said, well, would you also be interested in outbound? And he said, yeah. So the campaign that I'm doing for them is I'm doing a campaign to set up meetings, okay, to discuss referrals, commissions, et cetera. So those are two of the type things, but we do anything. If you have clients that just need to be followed up on because they haven't returned something, whatever it is, or they missed an appointment, or it's a situation where they haven't signed for medical records, whatever it is, we do that. So that's currently what we're doing for law firms. And you know, as I am with cross industry, I'm open to any type of campaign that's necessary. But the key is, before we even pick up the telephone, we know exactly what your objectives are and exactly how you want to be presented.
One thing I thought about, Julia, is I think this would be lawyers out there that do any kind of, it don't matter what kind of law they practice, because mass torts and there's a lot of lawyers out there, especially PI, disability, veterans lawyers, that had years and years of clients. They got a database. And when a new mass tort comes out,
Mhm.
even if they don't do it, they can refer it out. And if they had somebody calling their prior clients and asking them, did they take this medicine or did they use this device, and have they got these symptoms, and then get it signed up, I could see. Well, I would think it would not cost them that much to hire you. I know you're very reasonable with me, and I'm sure you would be with our listeners. But
Yes.
I see that as a gold mine for any PI, any lawyer that's handling people that been hurt or disabled or what injured, because they're going to be people that have these devices and take these medicines, or maybe
Yes.
their families.
Mhm.
I would see that every time one came out, I would be calling Julia. I said, here's my list. Call these people, tell them you're on behalf of my law firm, and tell them we're because you can call past clients. Uh,
Absolutely.
it's not unethical. You can't solicit non-prior clients by the phone,
Mhm.
but you can prior clients. And I see that as just another source of income. And listen, when I was practicing, I would I would always work my database. Now I did it with
Mhm.
postcards and emails, but we know people don't. They'll throw their stuff away. It don't get delivered, or the emails don't get open, or whatever. And
Mhm.
that's better than doing nothing. But if you have somebody like your people that know how to, that's got empathy and know how to talk to people and know how to close the deal. I
Yep.
mean, you could be signing up, it could be an extra $1 million in fees. It might take 5 years to get the fees, but my gosh, what do you got invested in it? I just think I don't know
Yeah.
if anybody's approached you about that, but that would be something that I would recommend any of our listeners out there. If you don't think you got the manpower, let Julia's people do it, because I think that would be like, I mean, that's your only cost of marketing. I mean,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
guarantee you,
Absolutely.
you know,
And
and
and and I can also tell you that in terms of a price point, like all campaigns are custom at this point, but we're running a 50% off special because we realize that, people are, a lot of people are virtual now. And so they need this. So we've been running this for quite a while. But even one of the things that we do, I think your idea is absolutely excellent. It is something that I have thought about, and it is a really good thing for law firms to check that out, because you know what, they, like you said, they already have the lists. These are like they're not soft leads. These are actually real leads, because because of what occurred with them in their case, that they probably have to take this drug or they have to use this device, and those type of things. So yeah, absolutely, I think that would be perfect, and I'd be
yeah,
more than happy to talk with anyone about that.
yeah. I just think I think I'm gonna call my partner up, my old partner, and tell him to call you, because I know we're set. I mean, we still do disability for my
Yeah.
old firm, and I mean, you
Mhm.
signing up 1,000 clients a year, over 10, 12 years, that's 12,000 people.
That's right. Mhm.
I mean, and so, and if you've got to get it, way I set up my case management system when I did it was I had a med section, because of mass torts, so I could run I could run a report. Say I want to know everybody that took Xanax,
Right.
Zantac or
Mhm.
whatever, or everybody that had a hernia or whatever.
Mhm.
I could go in there and pull it, and then I could really, you ain't gonna have time to call 12,000 people, right? But
Right.
you can narrow it down. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying?
Yeah.
There's certain demographic, like like the hair loss for women. You know, that drug, I can't remember what it was, for sure. Maybe I can't remember, but I think that was something else. I think that was birth defects.
Mhm.
But the deal is, if you've got if you don't have a database like that, you should set up your case management system, to have just a drug tab where you got all the medicines in there,
Right.
because that's going to make it so much easier and a lot more searchable. And with everything they're coming out with now, there's probably doesn't matter. They probably can. put it in some software and
Mhm.
dip it out. I don't know. You're more of a technology person, Julia. I'm not. I'll be honest with you. That's not my strength.
Yeah.
But I know that it makes common sense, you know. So
Yeah.
I think that's something that lawyers should be thinking about.
Uh,
Because as the market gets saturated, more and more lawyers marketing, just tell it like it is. There's not as, you know, and everything's going up, and insurance companies are getting tighter and tighter. I mean, just the whole deal is just harder. It's just a lot harder than it was 10, 15 years ago, 20 years ago. Is
Absolutely.
you got to look for other revenue sources. I mean, you
Mhm.
know, and this is something sitting in your back on your back door that you don't have to spend a load of money for. So I mean, I just
Yeah.
think it's a no-brainer.
Absolutely. And you know, I'm not here to plug Smart Advocate, but I will tell you, you know, that product right now is extremely affordable because you can run it on the cloud or you can run it on your server. Okay. And all the tools that you're talking about are already built in there, and it's so easy to use that there is never a reason that for a lead should not be converted to a case if it's in your system and it's a case that you want. So there is a big benefit to having a really good case management system, regardless of the size of your firm.
Yeah. Yeah. And so I think this is something that lawyers need to think about. I think, I just think it's you know, I just have enjoyed working with you. I appreciate what you've done for Pilma, and that's why I want to get you on the show. I wanted you to let people know what you do because you do such a good job for me. I know you're going to do a good job for them, and it's all and we came up with some great ideas right there. I mean, right now
Yeah,
we come up with some great ideas that lawyers make more money and more profits and create new revenue streams. So I mean, you know, and not have to do a lot of work.
absolutely.
I mean, you know,
Absolutely.
let you do the work for them. You know,
Yep.
that's the way
That
I look at it.
that's what we're here for.
Yeah, yeah.
Absolutely. And we, you know,
Anything else? Anything else you want to add, Julia?
no, not at this point. You know, other than, you know, maybe my contact information.
Oh
And
yeah,
also,
yeah.
yeah, and also to add, Ken, we really enjoy working with you and your staff. It's an absolute pleasure. I just want you to know.
Well,
You know,
thank
the
you, thank
follow
you.
up and the consistency is amazing.
Yeah, I got a good team. I will say that. I've been very fortunate, but
Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely.
it takes a while to do it. I mean, you know, and
Yeah, I understand that.
yeah, you have to kiss a lot of toes before you get the princess and princes.
Yes.
You know. So tell everybody your contact information in case they want to talk to you.
Okay, so I can be reached directly at 631-755-1041. Also, my email is jmoreland at marketingpartnersultd.com. And the website is marketingpartnersultd.com.
Okay, great deal. Well, listen, I appreciate you being on the show, and I look for you. I'm sure you're going to be at our Pilma Summit in September. I hope you are.
I'm hoping to be, Ken.
Okay, we want you there.
Okay.
And until next time, this is Ken Hardison, dedicated to your success.
You have been listening to the Grow Your Law Firm podcast, the podcast that leads lawyers to more growth, profit, and freedom. Go to growyourlawfirm.com to find more ways to market and manage your law firm. Please leave us a rating and review wherever you listen to your podcasts.